Thank you, Natalie. Good evening once again. It's a decade since Spain dominated football at all levels, but we always consider them to be contenders due to the quality of that side. Since then, they flattered to deceive at times, but a new generation hints at something close to the Del Bosque dynasty. Costa Rica have caused a number of bigger nations issues over the years. Their run to the quarterfinals in 2014 made Los Ticos legends, but this team have the look of an aging group preparing for one final fling. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens here tonight. A reminder of the two teams: Spain, Unai Simon in goal, Azpilicueta, Rodri, Laporte and Alba across the back four. Busquets will hold in midfield. Gavi and Pedri will be the youngsters doing his running, with Ferran Torres and Olmo in support of Asensio. For Costa Rica, so many aging players. 7 of this side are 30 or over. Among them, Keylor Navas, well known to the Spaniards in goal following his success with Real Madrid. The back four is Fuller, Duarte, Salvo and Oviedo. Martinez, Borges, Tejeda and Bennett of Sunderland in midfield, with Campbell and Contreras in attack. And it's Spain in all red who will get the game underway here this evening. Pleasantly warm conditions in South Doha, but thousands of empty seats inside the stadium at kick-off time. Costa Rica wearing all white, and they have been backed by some fervent support away to our right. It has been a World Cup of shocks so far, notably the defeats for Argentina yesterday and Germany sensationally today. Will Spain suffer a similar fate here tonight? Costa Rica will be hoping so, but a number of their older players will have to try and go to the well one final time. We are underway here on TalkSport for what should be an intriguing clash of styles. Spain attacking the goal away to our left in the first half, and we can imagine that Costa Rica will look to try and soak up the pressure as much as they can in the opening stages, as Aymeric Laporte plays it wide to this near side, and Jordi Alba. Dani Olmo is quickly closed down, and Costa Rica have not had a kick yet, with the game heading towards the end of its first minute, but that could be the pattern set for much of this game. But all of the noise is coming from the Costa Rican fans at the start of this game, and the way their team belted out their national anthem, Stuart Pearce, it shows just what this game and this occasion means to them.
Well, listen, the national anthem has just followed on from that warm-up that was so intense, and the players' togetherness, the team talk by Navas just before kick-off, they're pumped up for this, but will they be good enough for it?
And here is one of the youngsters, Pedri. We have 3 teenagers starting a World Cup game for the first time since 1994 here this evening, and 2 of them are at the heart of the Spanish midfielders. Gavi plays it wide to the far side, and there was a potential break into the penalty area from Ferran Torres, but the challenge comes in from Brian Oviedo, formerly of Everton and Sunderland, now with Real Salt Lake and MLS, and it's the first corner of the game to Spain.
Yeah, there was potential chat and a potential line-up, maybe a 5 at the back, but as you rightly called it there, it's almost a very rigid 4-4-2, isn't it, Nigel?
Well, that's how they played in previous World Cups, and it's a formation they've used to great success. Dani Olmo with the corner into the penalty area, but it's helped away at the near post. And Jewison Bennett could have a very lonely job, looking to use his pace up front for Costa Rica. Anthony Contreras will be the central striker, supported by Joel Campbell, and there is a token press from Costa Rica as Spain look to try and play their way through the thirds. Rodri wide to the far side. There is a Manchester City pairing at the heart of the Spanish defence of Rodri and Laporte, and rather like many Manchester City games at the Etihad Stadium, they can anticipate plenty of possession here as Ferran Torres looks to make a break towards the edge of the penalty area, but Costa Rica will clear, but it's quickly won back on the far side, and then Salvo steps across to cut off the route to goal for Olmo. Clears downfield for Costa Rica, and we have played nearly 3 minutes here on TalkSport in the Al Thumama Arena to the south of Doha. It is goalless, but unsurprisingly perhaps, Spain have been the dominant team. Now Ferran Torres hugging the touchline down the left-hand side. Has support from Jordi Alba. Clipped in field again towards Asensio. His low ball into the penalty area, cut out at the near post by the veteran, one of many, Celso Borges, and then a challenge from Laporte coming through the back of Joel Campbell on this near side, and Costa Rica have a free kick.
I'm just looking at Spain, how they build up here. When the central defenders have got the ball for Spain and looking to build up slightly in their own half, for me, the fullbacks have got to push right on to sort of overload that front line and make it a five-man front line, you know, two fullbacks, wide players coming off the line. Otherwise, I think it makes it slightly too easy, because they're doing it now. It's almost got a back four still in place, trying to play out, and the back line, the front line of Spain, is 4 against 3, so Spain are outnumbered at the other end of the pitch.
Here is Busquets winning his 140th cap for Spain this evening. Evades Contreras with a pirouette, quickly forward to Asensio. Ferran Torres in space on this near side, the left, and he looks to attack the penalty area now, but he's just held up initially, but he's got support from Jordi Alba, and the cross in is an excellent one, and the volley across the face of goal from Olmo is wide, and he knows he should have given Spain the lead. It was a terrific ball into the penalty area from Pedri, took out the entire Costa Rican defence, but somehow Olmo on the run guided the volley across the face of goal and beyond the far post.
Absolutely super ball there. You could tell the defender's face, you know the ball's beating you, there's nothing you can do about it, and he's tried to guide it side-footed but got it too much and cut it straight across the goal. Best chance of the game.
Costa Rica looked to try and beat the press by going long downfield looking for Joel Campbell, but Spain quickly win it back, and there was a look on the face there of Luis Enrique which suggested he believed they should be a goal up here. And there are one or two Colombian flags among the Costa Rican supporters away to our right, and that's because their coach, Luis Fernando Suarez, comes from that country, and he's taking charge of his third different nation at a World Cup here this evening after success with Ecuador back in 2006 when they emerged from their group to make progress towards the knockout rounds, and less so with Honduras back in 2014 when really they gained a reputation for being one of the more physical sides in that tournament. And as a former central defender, we can maybe anticipate how Costa Rica may try and defend here, but Contreras looks to bring it forward now, but Pedri, who will be 20 on Friday after what's been a glittering start to his career as a teenager, and it must be great for Sergio Busquets now to have two teammates, two clubmates from Barcelona playing alongside him, and two players who will offer so much energy and allow him to do what he can do as a veteran player, as he sprays it wide to the far side now, looking for the run of Ferran Torres, but the ball just evades him out of play, and it will be a throw-in. 6.5 minutes played here on Talk Sport. Spain 0, Costa Rica 0. Already today in Group F, Morocco and Croatia drew 0-0. And with due respect to that game, it's overshadowed by the opening match in this group, Group E, where Japan came from behind to beat Germany in one of the big all-time shocks by 2-1. Changes from the bench for Japan, making the difference very late in that game as they cancelled out a first-half lead. Now Jordi Alba inside the penalty area, and the ball squirts through to Dani Olmo, but the shot looped gently towards the near post, where it's claimed by Keylor Navas, who has been a backup goalkeeper for Paris Saint-Germain so far this season, but winning his 108th cap for Costa Rica tonight, and he is among many Centurions in their lineup. Now Olmo, and Spain just dropped down to walking pace once again as they look to just try and find that telling ball, as it's worked wide by Azpilicueta down the right. He now receives it back. Bennett will try and pressurise him, but it's shuffled across the back line once again for Spain. And played long downfield by Laporte, but headed away well by Martinez on this near side, and Luis Enrique is quick to field the ball, and it could become that game of patience here, Stuart, for Spain. Yeah,
it certainly will do, but as I say, Spain, they're not getting their fullbacks in really advanced areas. Azpilicueta just picking the ball up in a very deep line position, 3-on-1 around the halfway line, whether it's a a tactic to make sure they don't get counter-attacked.
Now Pedri on the edge of the penalty area, slips the ball through, and the shot is just wide from Asensio, and it's another great opportunity created by Pedri. Another perceptive ball to pick out Asensio this time, but he fails to hit the target.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing at the moment, Spain's play's okay. I think it's not bad. It's not scintillating play. What I would say is Costa Rica are allowing them far too much space in between their lines, and it's not as if they've got number overloads.
Costa Rica featuring in a World Cup for the 5th time in 6 tournaments. You may remember their debut match in Genoa back in 1990 when they beat Scotland under the legendary Bora Milutinovic, and they made progress to the round of 16 on their debut. As Spain come forward again now with Jordi Alba, and it's in the opening knockout round where Spain have gone out in the last World Cup when of course they were beaten by the host nation Russia, and since they won the competition back in 2010 they have found it difficult to really make an impression. They went out in the group stage in 2014. Now Azpilicueta moving forward, wide towards Ferran Torres again down the right, but it's Bennett of Sunderland who comes back to make the challenge, and Spain have a throw-in on the far side. And after such an intense warm-up, which Stuart Pearce pointed out before kick-off, Costa Rica are expending a good deal of energy here in the opening 10 minutes. Now Ferran Torres again on the far side, all the way back to the halfway line, and Azpilicueta. And yet again Costa Rica are very happy to sit deep and be fairly rigid, and Spain are finding it hard to break them down, although they have created 2 very good chances so far. Now Busquets with the ball in between the central defender and the fullback, and Salvo initially won it, then lost out, but then a great recovery challenge to Rob Asensio in the left back area. Francisco Salvo's ball forward though is quickly cut out, and here is Dani Olmo for Spain, lofted high into the penalty area. Salvo with the peroxide bob manages to rise and head the ball away, but Gavi, wearing number 9 for Spain, now recovers on the far side. Here is Busquets into Pedri, work wide to the left, and Jordi Alba. And Spain are continuing to pop the ball around, but they're not making a huge amount of headway. But Jordi Alba has found Dani Olmo square again on the edge of the penalty area, poke through, and here is an opportunity for Dani Olmo, who clips it over Keylor Navas, and Spain finally take the lead. Costa Rica picked apart by a goal which is absolutely typical of the Spanish mindset, and it was Dani Olmo this time who kept his cool as Keylor Navas advanced, clipped it over the goalkeeper. Luis Enrique is smiling, and Spain lead Costa Rica by a goal to 0.
Yeah, if the first 11 or 12 minutes are anything to go by, Costa Rica are in for a long, long evening. You know, they're not getting near people. They've got to get a lot tighter with straight balls through their back line. So otherwise, Spain play some decent football, 1 and 2 touch football to set up this opportunity, and a little flick through the back line just enabled Olmo just to lift the ball above the goalkeeper. Very
Gavi with the assist. It's the youngsters making all the chances.
Yeah, and as I say, they're in a critical area and not getting pressurised.
But Dani Olmo did well, had plenty to do to bring that ball under control, turn, and as Keylor Navas came thundering out, he did just enough to lift the ball over him. And Spain have the lead in the 12th minute here on TalkSport. And whatever the game plan was for Luis Fernando Suarez, Spain have already left it in tatters. A reminder coming up in Group F later on this evening. Faker Others, Alex Crook and Dean Aston will bring you Belgium against Canada. That's in the Morocco-Croatia group following their goalless draw earlier on today. And of course Spain and Costa Rica are in the group occupied by Japan and Germany, and it's Spain against Germany coming up on Sunday night, which was always going to be a game which held the interest, but even more so now as Costa Rica look to try and respond here. The ball is played wide to the far side, and Brian Oviedo infield to Borges. And Costa Rica with their first sustained possession inside the Spanish half. Martinez with a touch onto Fuller. Campbell, though, unable to gather on the edge of the penalty area. He was quickly challenged by Rodri, and Spain will bring it clear. A flick from Busquets into the path of Pedri, and then wide to this near side and Jordi Alba, but the pass from Asensio was behind Dani Olmo, and it will be a throw-in to Costa Rica on this near side. But already Spain are beginning to show their quality, and the confidence of that early goal will do them no harm at all. Dani Olmo with his 5th international goal.
As you pointed out there, Nige, there's an arrogance about the Spanish play. I think comfortable in possession, and they're playing in and around the Costa Rican players, and they can't do a great deal about it.
Now Pedri again, wide to the far side. Azpilicueta is able to bring the ball down. But Spain have so much patience, but in fairness to them, they are being given the time by Costa Rica, and their fans, who were ebullient before kick-off, have now been silenced momentarily, with 14 minutes played here on TalkSport, and Spain leading by a 1-0. Costa Rica did fall behind to Uruguay in their first game at the 2014 World Cup, and came back strong in the second half to win 3-1. If they did something similar here, that would be a story, as Gavi looks to make that little move away from Francisco Salvo again, and he was hacked down in fairly uncompromising fashion. But the referee here tonight, Mohamed Abdullah from the United Arab Emirates, does not flourish a yellow card, but Spain have a free kick.
Which is rather ludicrous, really, if ever there was a yellow card offence. And once again, probably a lesser light country gets more tolerance, I think, than a leading light.
Well, this referee was in charge of Costa Rica's playoff against New Zealand when they won by 0-0 in the stadium in Al Rayyan, which is where Wales played the other night to book their place in the World Cup, coming through the CONCACAF region. Gabi from the free kick, finding Pedri, but the ball forward is quickly cut out, and now there is an opportunity for Bennett to show his pace on the left-hand side, and he's been fouled, and it will be a free kick to Costa Rica. Wide on the left, it was Asensio who tried to keep up with Bennett, who's got a turn of pace to him and worked hard there to earn the free kick.
Yeah, just nicked him there. I'm not sure the covering defender would have come across and probably dealt with any potential critical break, but in the end Costa Rica have got the opportunity to get in Spanish half and attempt to put some pressure on them.
Well, Francisco Salvo has been sent forward along with Oscar Duarte for this free kick, which is hammered in by Campbell towards the far post. Salvo wins the header, but then the flag is raised for offside, and Spain will have the free kick. And that really is a waste for Costa Rica to be flagged offside in that sort of situation when they had the set piece, and it was actually Salvo who tried to make the dart in behind before winning the header, and the opportunity comes to nothing.
Yeah, when you look at Spain, really rigid positions of the team. You're looking, it's a back four, it's a holding midfield player, 2 advanced central midfielders, and 3 spread wide right across the front of the pitch, and that's exactly how they lined up in the warm-up, exactly the pattern of play they work to, and they've certainly keep a rigid. And I would say if you're coming up against Spain in the future at all, you know exactly how they're going to play and what areas of the pitch all of them are going to play.
And it was a case previously when they were winning everything that we all knew how they were going to play, but stopping them was another matter. But at the moment, this team is still very much a work in progress as Jordi Alba comes forward on this near side, almost steps in field from the left to find Alba, who tries to return the ball to him, but it's cut out on this near side by Yeltsin Tejeda, and he was fouled, and it will be a free kick. It was the retreating Jordi Alba who just clipped him, and Costa Rica have a free kick midway inside their own half. 17 minutes played here on TalkSport. Spain 1, Costa Rica 0. The stadium is gradually filling up, but still plenty of empty seats, particularly in the lower tier on the far side. The previous game here was between Senegal and the Netherlands, and there were a lot of empty seats before that game, and the eventual crowd was given as 41,721, and I would imagine that the figure tonight will be something similar. But this stadium is not too close to the local public transport, and fans and people like Stuart were relying on the shuttle buses from some distance away to get to the ground before kick-off.
I've got to say it's been a really good service. I quite enjoy coming to the games on the metro and on the bus, and it's very, very well organised here.
Here is Martinez for Costa Rica, down the left, looking to play in Cation Fuller. And Fuller looks to get forward again here, but Spain have now given the ball away cheaply. Busquets with a poor ball. Here is Campbell down the right-hand side, quickly outnumbered though as he looked to advance on the penalty area, so Campbell heads back towards the halfway line, but Costa Rica do have a number of players forward here. Tejeda with the ball forward, and now Borges wide towards Martinez again on this near side. Campbell has remained deep, drives the ball high towards the far post. Bennett was leaping for the header, but it was met by Azpilicueta. Ferran Torres tries to bring it clear. He goes down, but no free kick was given. Costa Rica then give the ball away as they try to funnel it towards the penalty area, and Spain can break here. They've got pace, and it's Pedri wide towards Dani Olmo on this near side. He just checks back to find Asensio, and very quickly players gone back to walking pace after that burst of energy from the Spaniards. But here is Azpilicueta in towards Busquets, and again he's got room to turn, and if you allow him to turn he can do real damage as Pedri lofts it wide to this near side, and Jordi Alba. Asensio coming deep again. No Alvaro Morata in the starting lineup for Spain after he was struggling with a cold caused by the air conditioning in the Spanish camp in the build-up to this game. Azpilicueta once again, and the air conditioning is on inside the stadium, but very pleasant conditions here for this match tonight. We are currently just ticking around to 7:20 local time in the evening, and the late game is a very late game for Alex Crook and Dean Ashton, a 10 o'clock start locally for Belgium against Canada, which follows this match. Now Busquets with a high ball wide to the left, driven into the penalty area. Wonderful goal for Spain. It was played back in towards Asensio by Jordi Alba, and Asensio's first time finish really fizzed beyond Keylor Navas, and Spain have very quickly taken a vice-like grip on this game, and Costa Rica could be in for a very, very long evening. Spain 2, Costa Rica 0.
I don't think Spain can believe their luck. They're having so much room on the ball to play, and just really patterns of play almost that are playing through Costa Rica. And Busquets, as you said earlier, he just wanders into space, picks it up, strokes it around. It's an absolute doddle for him. And Asensio, I've got to say, he made that finish look very easy. As it come into him from Alba, he just bounced in front of him. He got over the top of it, side foot. Navas got a decent hand on it, but couldn't keep it out. In fact, he got two good hands on it.
Well, the false nine with an authentic centre-forwards finish there for Spain, and they are 2 goals up here, and we are yet to get to the midpoint of the first half. Only Asensio's second goal for his country in his 30th appearance, but he's had a really good time for Real Madrid so far this season, and he was part of the Spanish team which picked up an Olympic silver medal in the Olympics in Tokyo last year. Spain always go strong for the Olympics, and so many of these players already have tournament experience from that. Now Gavi coming forward again, wide to Ferran Torres down the right. The low ball in was looking for Gavi, and it ricochets away on the far side off Brian Oviedo for a corner, and Oviedo turns to his teammates and says, look, we've got to sort this out, or worse to that effect.
Well, they're staring down the barrel of a 5-0 here if they're not careful, Nigel, on what I've seen so far. And Busquets, I think, was asked the question at the age of 34, I think he is, would he play it on again after this? And I think if games are like this in the World Cup, he might have another 3 World Cups in him.
There has been very little pressure on the ball from Costa Rica, which is a very dangerous tactic against a team like Spain. Dani Olmo is over the corner kick, Spain's second. On the far side, Emerick Laporte is forward along with Rodri. Gavi and Busquets also looking to cause some damage at the far post. And Costa Rica look fairly bewildered here. The referee is just trying to stop the pushing and pulling from Oscar Duarte on Rodrigo, and as soon as he turns his back it continues. There's some real pulling there from Duarte, and he needs to be careful because the referee already has his number as the corner into the near post is eventually cleared up towards the halfway line, but quickly returned over his shoulder by Jordi Alba towards this near side. Gavi shows good strength to initially win it back from Contreras, and then Busquets with a challenge to release Asensio on this near side. The cross low into the penalty area was eventually deflected behind. The final touch was off Asensio, and Costa Rica have a goal kick, but they are all over the place defensively here.
Yeah, they are. As I say, the press from the front isn't strong enough to cause any problems at all to the Spanish. They're playing through, and Busquets just wanders from one side to the other, receives the ball in acres of space, and he's a real danger. He just knits things together in that area with his experience.
Don't forget, 4 more games coming up tomorrow across the TalkSport network. We start on TalkSport 2 at 10 o'clock with Switzerland against Cameroon with Adam Bridge and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Then at 1 o'clock on TalkSport, Alex Crook and Dean Saunders will bring you Uruguay against South Korea. That's in Group H. Also in Group H following that game, Portugal against Ghana with Ian Danta and Leanne Sanderson. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff, and then the late game at 7 o'clock we get our first look at Brazil in Group G. They're playing Serbia, and that's a 7 o'clock start with Joe Shannon and Dean Ashton. And don't forget, on Friday the UK teams are back in action. 10 o'clock Wales against Iran on TalkSport. 7 o'clock England against USA. A win for England and they will book their place in the knockout rounds with a game to spare, and really it is must win for Wales after their draw against the US. And the Sports Bar, following our late game tonight, will bring you more reaction to the day's matches and give you the opportunity to have your say as well. And Alan Brazil is in charge of breakfast from 6 tomorrow morning, and then World Cup game day warm-up from Qatar with White and Jordan follows that at 10 o'clock. It is wall-to-wall World Cup across the TalkSport network. Now Jordi Alba for Spain.
It's really unusual here, Nigel. We got a great vantage point. You look across here and there's almost a whole back four in place in their own half here on the build-up, which is very unusual. A lot of teams like to get their fullbacks high. England certainly did, both fullbacks going really high. Spain have adopted a totally different approach and left them both in slot.
Because effectively they're marking one player, Contreras.
Yeah, I mean, even in possession of the ball, they're 4-on-1 with their passing options. And I think they were doing that at 0-0, so it's not as if it's gone 2-0 and they've decided to adopt it. 27
minutes played here. Spain leading by 2 goals to 0. They've enjoyed 75% possession so far in the game, as Gavi looks to pick his way through on the edge of the penalty area. 18 years of age, what a talent he already is. And he and Pedri will be at the heart of the Barcelona midfield for many, many years to come. And Gavi again now, looking to break towards the penalty area. Always playing with his head up. Has support from Azpilicueta. And now wide to Ferran Torres. Gavi steps in again, and he's making those runs which are leaving the Costa Rican players standing around their own penalty area. And Pedri and Gavi have made the 2 goals so far.
I thought, Nigel, that the Australians yesterday, when I watched that game and done that game, were poor. Costa Rica's been the worst I've seen so far at this World Cup, I've got to say, even in this short space of time.
Worse than Qatar?
Well, they're up there, or down there.
Here is Jordi Alba. Oh, a nutmeg on this near side to initially evade Martinez. Then he checks back to find Dani Olmo. Pedri on the edge of the penalty area. Busquets. And Rodri stepping out, finding Gavi. Ferran Torres right-hand side of the penalty area. Asensio tries an audacious flick back to him, and the move eventually breaks down. And Spain here look in the mood to score some goals, but not just goals, they want to score great goals.
It's a training ground exercise at the moment for Spain. They've set a shape out and no one's close to them. Every time there's a sideways or forwards ball, players have got 3-4 yards of space to receive the ball under no pressure whatsoever.
And the first goal scored tonight was Spain's 100th in World Cup finals, and they've joined Brazil, Germany, Argentina, Italy and France in reaching that mark. And they're coming forward again now with Olmo on this near side, and Martinez is having a real problem in trying to keep up with him. Supported by Jordi Alba. Now in towards Busquets, and Pedri takes over. Pedri works the 1-2 on the edge of the penalty area with Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba though quickly wins it back. He goes down inside the area, and that's a penalty. And the movement and the thought process from Spain is simply too much for Costa Rica. And with 29 minutes played, the challenge on Jordi Alba leads to a penalty, and very soon it could be 3-0.
Yeah, I think I might have to have a review on that 5-0 scoreline. To be fair, there was a little niggle there, but enough. Let's see.
Well, yeah, it was Duarte with that second kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
He missed him first time around, but then he just clipped the heel of Jordi Alba, and it was sufficient to send him down. Ferran Torres, formerly of Manchester City, now with Barcelona, will take the penalty kick against the former Real Madrid goalkeeper, Keylor Navas. And he had a real reputation for saving penalties in the 2014 World Cup. What can he do here? Ferran Torres, made to wait by the referee as he ushers all of the Costa Rican players away from the edge of the penalty area. Keylor Navas is jogging up and down on his line. Ferran Torres steps up right-footed, and he very calmly slots the ball into the back of the net, sending Navas the wrong way. And within half an hour of their opening game, this is a real statement of intent from Spain. There'll be no shock here. There'll be no Argentina. There'll be no Germany in the opening match of their World Cup, because it's Spain 3, Costa Rica 0.
Well, Luis Enrique is down there waving to, I take it, his wife and family up in the crowd. He's having an absolute wonderful day, and his team have just rolled out here and just rolled over Costa Rica. And I've got to say, sadly, I think Costa Rica have played a massive part in that. They're nowhere near the pace of a World Cup game, and the coach has got to do something to change that. At the moment, a 4-4-2 shape is just getting absolutely ruined by the Spanish.
Well, they have Japan in their next game on Sunday. They may have targeted that game as one which they would look to win, but of course Japan will be heading into that game with 3 points on the board following their shock 2-1 win against Germany, which we brought you before this game on TalkSport. So they are going to have to do something very quickly here, because damage limitation already looks to be the limit of their ambitions in this game. And we've only played just over half an hour on TalkSport. Spain 3, Costa Rica 0.
So Japan have got Costa Rica,
yes,
coming up next. And, well, I can't, on this performance from Costa Rica, I can't see Japan not winning the game.
Which puts massive pressure on Germany against Spain.
Indeed.
Group E could well become one of the more fascinating ones at the 2022 World Cup. And that's a big game coming up on Sunday night. I think you're there, aren't you, Germany against Spain?
Yes, indeed. It's a fantastic game. They come thick and fast, Nigel.
They really do. And we'll start building up to the Wales and England games tomorrow. We'll have all the press conferences and all the news from Robert Page and Gareth Southgate throughout the day across the TalkSport network as Danny Olmo catches Joel Campbell. And it will be a free kick here for Costa Rica. Another opportunity to send the defenders forward. Celso Borges, who is winning his 156th cap this evening, their most capped player in his third World Cup. He will take it. And they were a team who recovered from a very bad start during qualification. Here is Borges with the free kick into the penalty area. Spain don't clear it well, but then Joel Campbell was in an offside position, and as he gathers the ball, the flag goes up. And Costa Rica started with only one win in their opening 7 qualifiers, but they finished with 6 wins and a draw to get their playoff place in the CONCACAF region when they came to Qatar and beat New Zealand by a 0-0. And much has been said about the aging nature of their squad, and so far tonight they have looked a very old team.
I'm going to make a statement here, Nigel. Remember when I said it, and the incredible nature of the timing of when I said it. Spain are 3-0 up, played reasonably well. They won't go beyond the semi-final. I'm not even sure Spain will get to the semi-final on what I'm seeing. And that might sound ridiculous for a team that are 3-0 up very, very early on and look as though with the results elsewhere are going to go in their favour, which will get them out of the group.
34 minutes play. We have the first Mexican wave of the evening here in Doha, which maybe tells you how the game is going. It's all about levels, isn't it? Because you'll be judged about what you do against the best teams, and as you say, no disrespect, but Costa Rica could be one of the worst teams here as Dani Olmo is released by Jordi Alba down the left-hand side. A burst into the penalty area, but the low cross is blocked. It was good persistence there from Martinez, and the goal kick has been given in the end. And you've got to feel sorry for Carlos Martinez at the moment, winning only his 8th cap, and he's up against Dani Olmo and Jordi Alba on this near side, and he is getting no cover at all from Keisha Fuller, the player ahead of him, who I think has been told to try and stay forward and give them something to hit, but at the moment they need reinforcements at the back pronto.
I've got to say that was a fantastic recovery run there from Martinez, stuck to his job, well played to him.
Now Busquets again. They are not getting within 15 yards of him whenever he is on the ball. And I know Busquets is aging, 34 years of age now. This is 7th major tournament for Spain, but we've already seen that if you give him room, he can spray that ball around until he's 50.
He certainly can. As I say, he's had the freedom of the park today. He's just ambled into positions and stroked the ball around. And the ball stuck to his foot. We understand that.
36 minutes played here on TalkSport. The Mexican wave continues to wind its way around the stadium, with Spain leading here by 3-0. Fernando Torres, or Ferran Torres I should say, with the penalty after the earlier goals from Olmo and Asensio. And Luis Fernando Suarez, the Colombian coach, is sat down on the Costa Rican bench, and he looks like a man who is powerless. As Pedri looks to play the ball inside Fuller on this near side to release Dani Olmo, but it's overhit, and it will be a throw-in for Costa Rica on this near side.
I've got a feeling we'll have to speak with Nat at half-time. I think that warm-up before the game has taken all the sting out of Costa Rica. I really do.
I think the singing of the national anthem took all the sting out of them, because credit to them, it really, really mattered, and there was a real sense of national pride. Here is Bennett, though, on the breakaway, and he's got support from Oviedo on the left. Bennett, though, comes in field, takes on 1-2 many, challenged by Ferran Torres, and he's absolutely flattened by him, which doesn't happen too often, but Spain can bring the ball away, but then it's won back by Salvo. Ferran Torres showing too much of the ball to him. And here is Tejeda. There can't be too many players at this World Cup who are named after former Russian presidents, but Yeltsin Tejeda is one of them. Now Borges, Martinez again, and Costa Rica are just looking to create something, but their play is rather laboured in contrast with what we've seen from Spain so far. But here is Bennett. Good spirit from the 18-year-old. Good run as well into the near post. Contreras will control with his back to goal. He was challenged initially by Rodri, but stayed on his feet. Now Oviedo with the cross in. Headed away though by Laporte. Chested off by Borges towards this near side. Fuller will sprint to keep the ball in play, and now Campbell will try and assess his options. It's a high ball towards the far post. It's taken down well by Bennett, hooked across the face of goal, headed away by Rodri, and head tennis between Busquets and Gavi eventually brings the ball clear, but Gavi is quickly challenged by Martinez, and eventually a free kick has been given to Spain, but not before Costa Rica just maybe highlighted one or two fallibilities in the Spanish defender.
Yeah, as I say, they managed to sustain the attack there, get a few players in advanced areas, and Spain fairly composed playing out, just drew the foul.
We get a new possession stat given to us here by FIFA during this World Cup. It currently tells us Spain have had 71% possession, Costa Rica have had 18%, and the other 11% has been contested. Well, I would argue that there's been very little contest out on the field at times, but here is Busquets, and Costa Rica are beginning to step up. Duarte just had a nibble at his ankle, and now Busquets again, wide to this near side, and Laporte. And both Rodri and Laporte must be thinking about cracking open the cigars here. Now Jordi Alba down the left-hand side for Spain again, given the room to come in field and find Pedri. And Gavi demanding possession on the far side. Spain's youngest World Cup player has lived up to the billing so far. Azpilicueta breaking forward down the right. Now Ferran Torres back towards Gavi again. And the Spanish crowd are maybe looking for the ball towards the penalty area, but that's not necessarily the Spanish way here. Pedri finding Jordi Alba, and they are really toying with top Costa Rica, but
there's no energy from Costa Rica though. There's no press with aggression. This team is 3-0 down. It's probably too late now, but
Azpilicueta with the ball right through the 6-yard area, but it's cleared at the far post by Martinez, but quickly won back. Here is Pedri. Busquets looks to his right, and there is space for Azpilicueta again. Now Asensio finding Busquets, stab forward towards the edge of the penalty area, but Ferran Torres unable to control this time. And here is Campbell, who is the one player in the Costa Rican team moving forward, who is looking to try and make something happen. But now the pace of Fuller for them down the right hand side. Coming back to make the challenge is Pedri. Infield to Celso Borges. Campbell tries a Cruyff turn. It's all very tight for him though, but he does have support from Martinez, but very quickly Costa Rica retreat towards the halfway line. Duarte drills it wide to the far side, and Bennett, was he coming back from an offside position? Not according to the assistant on this near side, but then the flag is eventually raised.
It's going to be in World Cup history. I mean, we've had some fantastic results today and yesterday in regard to turnovers of big teams, and we glorified how Saudi Arabia went after the Argentinians and that type of thing, high tempo pressing, and that against good players you have to do that, and this is demonstrating totally the opposite. What not to do against a team that are comfortable in possession. Give them a lot of room and don't threaten them at all with any form of aggression or high energy in your press.
And this is a Costa Rican team who are basically built on a stout defence. They conceded only one goal in their last 7 World Cup qualifiers. Overall it was only 14 goals in 15 games, and I know we can talk about levels and the overall quality of the opposition, but you've got to build from the back, and so far they've not done that. Here is Asensio for Spain again, midway inside the Costa Rican half. He's got support left and right. It's played short to Gavi. Now Azpilicueta, Asensio's flick, and he regains possession, changes the point of the attack from right to left to find Jordi Alba. Pedri, infield again to Dani Olmo, who works that 1-2, but this time Fuller cuts off his route to goal inside the penalty area. Busquets again, square towards Asensio. He drives from long range, but a good challenge coming in from a lunging Celso Borges, and the ball spins away to safety up towards the halfway line.
I'm not too au fait with the laws of the game, because the initial ball through to Torres was offside, and we've gone on with a phaser play. If it ends up in the net, they'll give the goal now. Here
is Pedri. I think you'll have plenty of time in the second half to explain the offside rule, the way this game is shaping up. Now Pedri again, back towards the far side, and Rodri maybe thought about stepping in and trying one of those runs towards the edge of the Costa Rican penalty area, but then thought better of it. And it's a very rare touch for Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper, who actually has to come 15 yards outside his penalty area to get it. It has been that sort of game so far, with 43 minutes played on TalkSport. Spain leading by 3-0. 3 goals within the opening half hour. Olmo, Asensio and a Torres penalty. And they could have been more. They could have been 2 goals up before they scored the opening one. And now Ferran Torres has been fouled by Brian Oviedo on the far side, and it will be a free kick. And it's taken quickly. Here is Gavi, and Costa Rica are still retreating into their positions as Spain look to bring it forward now with Dani Olmo. Jordi Alba infield to Pedri. And Costa Rica do have everybody back behind the ball, deep inside their own half in formation. And they have switched now to a 5-4-1 with Fuller coming back as the fullback and Martinez trying to play as one of 3 central defenders, but it seems to make no difference as Olmo allows the ball to run. Busquets works a 1-2 on the edge of the penalty area. Now Pedri. Asensio turning wide to this near side, and eventually the flag is raised for offside.
It beggars the question. Your match action has got to be more intense than the warm-up action, and you know, the warm-up struck in my mind. The intensity of the warm-up was quite incredible. Quick feet, sharp running, passages of play. They threw everything into the warm-up. They get into game situations and everyone's like semi-walking and jogging. And I know they've had a bit of a bloody nose in footballing terms and they're 3-0 down and they think they can't get anywhere near the ball. But you're just going to have to give everything you've got and chase lost causes.
Now Gavi, excellent ball forward again, looking to the far side and Ferran Torres, but this time it will skip away from him, and it's gathered by Keylor Navas, wearing all sky blue, defending the Costa Rican goal away to our far side. There will be an additional 5 minutes. Stuart, you're flummoxed.
I'm flummoxed about a lot of things this evening. You know, I've got a feeling that maybe Costa Rica will come out and do another warm-up before the second half, potentially.
Well, they've been doing one for much of the first half.
I'm not sure where we've got 5 minutes from.
I don't think either medical team have been on the field. There wasn't a lengthy VAR check for the penalty. It was a fairly straightforward decision. Unless the ball being out of play leads to extra time, but Spain have had possession for well over 70%, and the ball's been very much in play for them. Anyway, we've ticked into that 5 minutes of added time here on TalkSport, with Spain leading Costa Rica by 3-0. And before the game, the atmosphere inside the stadium was terrific. The Spanish fans to the left, the Costa Rican fans to the right, but it is now very, very quiet. It almost feels like the third morning at Lord's.
Well, and you've got to say that the Costa Rican fans have played their part. They could not have done any more to rouse this team to come, get on the front foot, harry, chase. A technical Spanish side that will keep the ball if you give them opportunity to.
And here is Dani Olmo again, but I take Stuart's earlier point that Spain have done what they've had to do here. They're 3 goals up, but playing at this tempo, and it's early days in a World Cup, it's tournament football, you play your way in. Will they beat one of the major contenders playing like this, or will they be exposed? Maybe that's a question for another day later on in the tournament. Maybe we'll find that out when they play Germany, live on TalkSport on Sunday. Stuart and I have a good game coming up on Saturday night as well, 7 o'clock, Argentina against Mexico. Now Gavi coming forward now, slips it into the area looking for Asensio. It's beyond him, and it will be cleared away by Fuller at the far post, and Spain will have a throw-in. It's taken quickly by Jordi Alba. Gets it back from Laporte. And Laporte maybe thought about finding Asensio in the centre forward position, but Spain have not really needed an authentic centre forward in this game because Costa Rica have given them so much room further back in the midfield areas. Now Laporte again. Wide to this near side and Pedri, but we can enjoy the performances of players like Pedri and Gavi, two youngsters in this team really enjoying themselves in their first World Cup game. I remember Stewart gave Pedri man of the match following the Euro semi-final against Italy at Wembley last year when Spain lost, but Pedri was the best player on the pitch, only 18 years of age then. Now Jordi Alba on this near side. Dani Olmo shows for him, but it's infield towards Pedri. Asensio controls it well, and then it's given away. And the referee actually got in the way there, and Asensio claiming that Mohamed Abdullah actually impeded him, and the referee will drop ball and give it back to Spain.
Yeah, luckily one of the Spanish players reminded the referee of the rules then.
Yeah, I think he was prepared to allow the game to continue. Now Pedri again, back to the halfway line, and Laporte. The half-time whistle will come as a mercy here for Costa Rica. 15 minutes to sit down and try and regroup. 3 goals down, and Spain could have had 4 or 5. A back heel from Busquets now. Here is Pedri moving forward into the penalty area for Asensio, but he was challenged just as he shot there by Brian Oviedo, who was alert to the danger, came across from left to right, and the ball balloons high into the crowd.
Yeah, I think the level in which Costa Rica are playing, Spain probably should open them up a bit more than they actually are, to be quite honest with you. But I don't know what's going to happen at half-time. There's 3 players down warming up. If you're a manager of Costa Rica now, it wouldn't be outlandish to change 5.
No, just to give some fresh legs and some fresh impetus. Although, do you maybe wait for later on when they get really weary? Or is now the time?
They can't get any slower than weary at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm seeing, Nigel, honestly. And I don't like criticising teams, players, that type of thing. I don't like to do that. But this is the biggest standard of your life. This is the World Cup. Now, show it.
Well, there goes the half-time whistle. And it's been all Spain. Utterly dominant so far. 3 goals in the opening half hour. Dani Olmo and Marco Asensio putting them on their way before a penalty dispatched by Ferran Torres after a foul on Jordi Alba inside the penalty area. And Spain have really toyed with the Costa Rica side, who look beaten already, and this could be a very chastening second half to come for them. Half time, Spain 3, Costa Rica 0. Thank you, Natalie. And Costa Rica have made 1 change, and they brought on another veteran. 34-year-old Kendall Waston has come on, a player who is now back with Saprissa in his home country after playing in MLS, and he has replaced a player who had a torrid first half, Carlos Martinez, but it wasn't entirely his fault because he had no protection at all down the right-hand side, and at times he was heavily outnumbered and strongly overwhelmed. But that's the only change. Spain don't appear to have made any. And the second half is about to get underway with Costa Rica wearing all white, defending the goal away to our left-hand side. Spain in all red and very much in the pink, leading here by 3 goals to 0 as we get the second half underway, as Salvo plays a long ball forward for Costa Rica. Spain quickly return it, then flicked on by Oviedo, and we will look for any change in shape for Costa Rica as it's guided back by Laporte towards Unai Simon, who is in goal for Spain behind a back 4 of Azpilicueta, Rodri, Laporte and Alba. Busquets, Gavi and Pedri in midfield, with Ferran Torres and Olmo either side of Asensio in attack, and those 3 forward players are the ones who have scored the goals for Spain so far. Costa Rica, Navas in goal, Fuller, Duarte, Salvo and Oviedo are at the back, along with Waston now, Borges, Tejeda and Bennett in midfield, with Campbell and Contreras in attack. And a number of supporters, in fact thousands of supporters, are still making their way back to their seats here as Bennett looks to win the ball back for Costa Rica, but it's Guided forward again by Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper, wearing all black, defending their goal away to our left-hand side, and he had very little defending to do during the opening 45 minutes. And once again, Spain are happy to move the ball around at walking pace, and the Costa Rican coach, Luis Fernando Suarez, was out very early for the second half, plonked himself on the bench, but he's now made his way towards the edge of the technical area. Luis Enrique, a lither figure, let's say, dressed in all black, the Spanish coach, made some big calls coming into this tournament, leaving out players like Sergio Ramos, David De Gea, Thiago, Angel Moreno, putting the accent on youth among the newcomers, and he will be happy that they are heading towards 3 very routine points here against a side who he maybe had 1 or 2 concerns about, bearing in mind their previous performances in World Cups, but they were with these players, but these players of a much younger vintage at that time, as Simon picks up a back pass from Azpilicueta once again. And there's no atmosphere inside the stadium now, Stuart, is it? Because neither side is giving teams too much to think about, although Spain will come forward now with Azpilicueta chugging down the right, cuts the ball in field towards the edge of the box. Asensio with the shot, and he fires it too high. He claims a deflection, but Asensio yet again failing to hit the target when well placed.
Yeah, the amount of room that he actually had there to steady himself and get a decent shot away, whether there was a slight deflection, it wouldn't have stopped or changed the direction of the ball. It was going way over. But at least Costa Rica have looked, any straight balls, they've looked as though they threatened to get closer to people. They're on the front foot, which, you know, credit to them. I've got to give some credit somewhere.
They look to try and create something now, but Ferran Torres breaks it up, and now Salvo wins it back for Costa Rica. Wide to Campbell on this near side, the left. And Campbell will try and take on Ferran Torres and out-muscles him, and it's wide to this near side, and Oviedo cut back to the edge of the penalty area. Bennett just unable to control when well placed on the edge of the box, and Busquets will bring it clear now for Spain, and they can break with Asensio over the halfway line. Ferran Torres is to his right, but it's infield to the left, and Pedri, who pirouettes on the edge of the penalty area, wide towards Dani Olmo, who will try and take on his man, who was Fuller, and just overruns it, and it's swooped on by Keylor Navas.
Yeah, much better there from Costa Rica, being broke on, but their recovery runs were much quicker. They got back, they outnumbered the Spanish, and in the end it fizzled out. So much better from them. We might have a contest on our hands now.
Navas clears downfield, and it's all about trying to win the second half, or at least draw it for Costa Rica, trailing here by 3-0 on TalkSport on a day when Japan caused a real surprise, coming from behind to beat Germany with goals from late replacements in their game at the Khalifa Stadium. That's the other match in Group E alongside this one today. In Group F, Morocco and Croatia drew 0-0, so a North African side picking up another notable result in their opening game after Tunisia's draw against Denmark yesterday. Still to come on TalkSport this evening, also in Group F. Belgium will play Canada. Faye Carruthers will be taking over alongside Alex Crook and Dean Ashton for that game. And then tomorrow we have 4 more games beginning on TalkSport 2 at 10 o'clock with Switzerland against Cameroon with Adam Bridge and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. And we get to see Brazil for the first time tomorrow night, 7 o'clock kick-off with Joe Shannon and Dean Ashton when they meet Serbia. Portugal also facing Ghana, so we'll see Cristiano Ronaldo potentially in this World Cup, and maybe the start of his final World Cup. And Ukraine also meeting South Korea earlier on in the day. All to come tomorrow, but Spain will be looking to plump up their goal difference here first. 5 minutes played in the second half, still leading Costa Rica by 3-0, and it's been an exercise in keep ball in the main since half-time. And a low ball in from Jordi Alba towards the central area, and now Gavi, who has never stopped moving for Spain, finding Ferran Torres driven across to the near post, and then it was good anticipation by Fuller just to step inside beyond Dani Olmo and hammer the ball to safety for a throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, good play there by Spain, but every time they received it and turned and passed it, there was no one within 3, 4, 5 yards of them.
Azpilicueta will take it again. Sorry, Stuart.
Sorry, just saying, Nigel, for your first game in a World Cup group stage, it's absolutely ideal for the Spanish, isn't it? They've got their technique, just, not being stretched in any way, shape or form.
And now Brian Oviedo has just run the ball behind under pressure from Pedri, and it will be a corner for Spain. Only their third overall, their first in the second half. And Spain have only had 8 shots in the game, 3 shots on target, those have been the goals. And considering their possession, which is way over 70%, you would have maybe thought they'd have had more. But now Olmo on this near side, the corners work short. And Asensio fighting Olmo again in space, driven low across the penalty area, cleared away at the far post by Waston. And Costa Rica had the opportunity to break now with Fuller, but there's a lack of communication between Fuller and Campbell. Azpilicueta plays the ball infield, Pedri retrieves it for Spain. Dani Olmo was challenged, but here is Asensio, and now Jordi Alba once again as Costa Rica look to try and regain their shape, and they've definitely gone for another central defender in the second half, and that's the player who came on, Kendall Waston, who tries to engage Pedri now, but he's out of position as a result as the cross in from the far side is eventually cleared. Costa Rica try and make tracks up to the halfway line, but Pedri steps in and finds Laporte, and Spain will just continue to stroke the ball around once again. And Stuart, as a manager, you've been in a position, I'm sure, where you've been comfortably ahead at half-time. What do you look to get from the second half in this sort of situation?
Well, we're in a group situation, so goal difference, it can be quite vital in this. So they've got to make sure if there's opportunities to score goals and keep going forward, they've certainly got to take them, because it might be critically important further down the line in a game or so. So that is important, and not to get in bad habits, Nigel.
Here is Ferran Torres now, fine by Gavi inside the penalty area. Francisco Salva makes the challenge, but Ferran Torres recovers the ball and drives it low beyond Keylor Navas. And Spain lead by 4 goals to 0, and that one was a real gift. Costa Rica, again, defensively fallible. And Ferran Torres was there to capitalise with his second goal of Spain's opening game in the World Cup. And in a week where some of their major rivals have faltered, Spain here are making absolutely no mistake. 4-0.
Well, I've got to say on that occasion, we talked about goal difference potentially being important, and Costa Rica done everything they possibly could to make sure Spain enhanced their goal difference. Incredible.
Well, Oviedo got in the way of Keylor Navas there and allowed Ferran Torres to turn and put the ball in, but he was 4th favourite for that ball when it came into the penalty area.
Yep, he certainly was. Should have been dealt with. Calvo should have dealt with it. The goalkeeper should have done slightly better. And 4-0 it is. I think it was a very conservative 5-0 prediction some time ago. And that certainly looks achievable now.
Yeah, I think the spread has moved slightly higher than that. 4-0 to Spain. 10 minutes into the second half here on TalkSport. And we are about to see changes. Alvaro Morata will be coming on. And they've done quite well without a centre-forward so far. And Carlos Soler of Paris Saint-Germain will also be making his way onto the field. And Morata, a player who has been the number 9 at so many big clubs, but often gets moved around with regularity as Spain win a free kick and Busquets plays it wide to the far side, and Dani Olmo looking to attack. A retreating Fuller comes in field towards the edge of the penalty area. Jordi Alba now with a cross high to the far post, and it's headed away by Oviedo over his own crossbar for a corner. Ferran Torres looking for the first hat-trick of this World Cup. And the changes will be made, and he won't get one because he's coming off.
Yeah, good opportunity for the Spaniards to chop and change, get most of them. I'm sure they'll make all 5 subs as the as the second half goes on and get everyone a feel of it and a nice feel-good factor about going into the next game.
And Pedri is the other player who has been withdrawn. Tell you what, when he grows up, he'll be some player.
Yes, certainly he's an outstanding talent, more than comfortable with the ball at his feet. Good vision, as you say, plays the game with his heads up. Knows what's around him.
Carlos Soler comes on to replace him. The corner's played short. Whipped into the penalty area by Asensio. Almost on the ground. It's fisted clear by Keylor Navas. And there's an overload on the left. A high cross in towards the far post. Down the Olmo was waiting. And it's nodded clear by Waston. It will be another corner. And at the moment, Costa Rica must just be praying for the full-time whistle. But we've still got well over half an hour to play.
Plus a couple of hours of overtime as well, exactly.
All these changes, that's going to be at least another 10 minutes. Corner number 5 for Spain. Needless to say, Costa Rica haven't had one. The referee, Mohamed Abdullah of the UAE, is just having words with players from both sides on the edge of the penalty area. Olmo going short again towards Asensio. They've worked that move on so many occasions, but this time he's forced back towards Soler. But now Olmo again. Asensio, and the ball just evading his grasp, and it spins out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Costa Rica. And Brian Oviedo, looking to break on this near side, claims he was fouled by Azpilicueta, and the referee gives nothing, and Spain have a throw-in, and there will be a change made very soon for Costa Rica. And Alvaro Zamora, a 20-year-old who only made his debut a couple of months ago, he will be coming on, and he'll be one of two changes, because a 20-year-old will be joined by a 37-year-old. Brian Ruiz, Fulham fans will remember him. He was the star of the team back in 2014 when they beat both Italy and Uruguay in the group stage to win a group which also contained England. And he's coming on now to play in yet another World Cup. And this will be his third at 4-0 down.
Well, he's certainly loyal to the senior players, it's fair to say, Nigel.
Yeah. Zamora is one of the youngsters in the team, and I'm sure Sunderland fans listening, Stuart, will be here keen to hear about Jewison Bennett. I mean, considering he's barely had the ball, he's never stopped working, and at least he's tried to offer something of an outlet in a team which is being absolutely hammered. Yeah,
it's a tough afternoon for everyone in a white shirt, their evening, sorry.
Well, it's afternoon turning into evening at home. Just coming up to 20 minutes past 8 here. Morata with his first opportunity to chase on this near side. Breaking into the penalty area down the right. Delivers a low cross in, which is blocked, and then backheel back into the penalty area by Olmo. The ball was heading for a corner. The final touch was off Kendall Waston, but Olmo almost created something there out of nothing, but Costa Rica are able to clear.
Yeah, Waston's offered a little bit of presence in the heart of the defence. I think he's looked to get tight with people when he's actually had to, and so he's offered a little bit more.
But the fact they brought on a 34-year-old at half-time and they're about to bring on a 37-year-old tells you a good deal about the resources available to Luis Fernando Suarez. He signed a new 4-year contract after qualifying for the World Cup, and you would imagine, looking at this, whatever happens in the remaining 2 games, overhauling the entire squad and finding some new gems will be his main task, as Gavi was sent stumbling there by the challenge from Salvo, and it will be a free kick. Yet to have a yellow card in this game. And the changes are made, and it's Anthony Contreras, the striker, who is the first player to come off, to be replaced by Zamora, and Jewison Bennett will be the other player. So it's a case of Costa Rica just freshening up their forward line, but all their problems have been at the other end of the field. Spain very quickly take the free kick. Here is Laporte. Now Olmo. Again, given room to turn on the edge of the penalty area, goes for an ambitious shot from wide on the angle left-hand side, but it's high over the top. Keylor Navas quickly clears downfield. Azpilicueta with a back header towards the halfway line. Costa Rica, relatively speaking, have been a bit tighter out of possession in the second half than they were for much of the first, but with just over an hour played, they trail by 4-0 on TalkSport. Belgium against Canada coming up at 7 o'clock UK time, with Faye Carruthers, Alex Crook and Dean Ashton. And Alejandro Balde will be coming on to make his debut for Spain very soon. He was called into the squad only a couple of days ago after Jose Gaya, his Barcelona teammate, picked up, or rather Valencia player and international teammate, picked up an ankle injury, and he'll be coming on along with Koke of Atletico Madrid. So Luis Enrique just beginning to rotate his players and give some others an opportunity, with Germany coming up on Sunday live on TalkSport. Some really big encounters coming up at the weekend. We start on Friday at 10 o'clock with Wales against Iran. 7 o'clock England against USA. Here is Morata with a break into the penalty area, goes for goal at the near post right hand side, and it's wide.
Yeah, good movement by him. Just worked the channel, kept himself onside, took a touch, and then his finish was really poor, to be fair. Yeah, just not got his angles right. Needed to go across the goalkeeper a touch more.
Now the change is being made, and Busquets and Jordi Alba are the players being withdrawn. A rousing reception for both of those.
You see the contrast between the two teams. One team are bringing 30-somethings off, and the other team are bringing 30-somethings on.
Yeah. But Luis Enrique, I think whatever happens in this tournament, he's hoping to blood a few young players, and Alejandro Balde, at 19 years of age, comes on to make his debut for Spain in the opening match of the World Cup. Koke, a player at the other end of his career. This is 68th cap as Azpilicueta guides a long ball back into the path of Unai Simon, and the armband has been taken by Alvaro Morata in the absence of Sergio Busquets. But Luis Enrique still fairly animated on the touchline in his black jeans and white trainers. He's also gone for the jumper on what is still a pretty warm evening here, and the playing conditions have been very pleasant for all of the teams involved here at the World Cup. It's been a different story often when they've been training in the heat of the day. Wales have changed their training schedule to train at lunchtime in preparation for the game coming up against Iran, which is a 1 o'clock kickoff local time on Friday, 10 a.m. in the UK, live on TalkSport along with England against USA. Then on Saturday, Stuart and myself will be at the Giant Stadium in Lusail for Argentina against Mexico. Argentina looking to recover from that shock loss to Saudi Arabia. And then of course on Sunday it is the second round of games in this group, including Spain against Germany, and Jim and Stuart will be at that one. Now an opportunity for Balde to cross into the penalty area. The ball seemed to have gone behind, and indeed the goal kick has been given. But the Spanish crowd here and the neutrals in the crowd are very keen for Spain to try and provide a few more goals here and more entertainment, maybe less so the Costa Ricans away to our right.
Yeah, the Costa Rican fans have been very quiet, certainly emulating back into the first half period. Good movement there by Balde, surged forward, and we sort of had a first half and some of the second where both fullbacks for Spain had decided just to sit back in and let the rest of the team win the game for them.
Now Koke, player who missed a penalty in the shootout when they lost to Russia in 2018, and he then didn't play for 2 years for the national side. Of course, Spain were in utter chaos before that tournament, when Julian Lopetegui, the new manager of Wolves, was sacked on the opening day of the World Cup after making it clear he was moving to Real Madrid, and Fernando Hierro took over as the coach, and Hierro is here working for Spanish media. We saw him in the media centre before the game. 4 years ago he was trying to sort out a Spain team which was in absolute disarray, but they got to the round of 16 and were then beaten by Russia in a game they really should have won before losing on penalties. And of course they got to the semi-finals of the Euros in England when they lost a really good game against Italy on penalties. Here is Olmo, and now Gavi in a central area, attacking the penalty area, the 18-year-old, but he was stopped by 37-year-old Brian Ruiz, who clears the ball away, and then Francisco Salvo really wires into the challenge on Soler, and finally we see the opening yellow card of the game, but for Salvo that's been in the post for some time.
That's an understatement. How you can moan about was probably the better of the three challenges that he potentially could have got.
That wasn't as bad as the one in the first half.
No, it wasn't.
There's a dismissive shrug of the shoulder from Francisco Salvo, but he really clattered into Carlos Soler there. And the first yellow card of the game, with 69 minutes played here on Talk Sport. Spain leading Costa Rica by 4 goals to 0. Belgium against Canada will be coming up at the end of this game. 7 o'clock kickoff. Another change, and Marco Asensio will be heading off now for Spain, the scorer of a really good second goal, finishing off the cross from Jordi Alba. And Nico Williams, no, not that one, 20-year-old from Athletic Bilbao, comes on to replace him. His brother, Inaki Williams, is a Ghanaian international, and he's another youngster who only came into the side in September. This is third cap, but it's great for Luis Enrique to give young players a taste of the World Cup in a match like this. Now Balde, and Spain have made their 5 changes, and we still have 21 minutes to play here. Azpilicueta with a cross into the area, and Dani Olmo was looking to head the ball across the face of goal for Morata, and could he have gone for goal there, Stuart?
I think he would have had plenty on to head directly to goal, but certainly to take a touch potentially.
Another Costa Rican attack comes to nothing. Joel Campbell has toiled away down the left-hand side, but has had very little support. Now Gavi back towards Rodri, and he and Laporte have just been shuttling the ball between them at times, and now Laporte with a buccaneering run forward, but he just takes on one too many, and it's cleared away by Kendall Waston up towards the halfway line, but Spain win it back. Here is Morata. Williams was in space, but it breaks down again for Spain. And Brian Oviedo on the stretch will clear the ball away, finding Joel Campbell. Campbell steps in field, but then turns into Gavi. And Spain get possession back again. And they continue to have possession stats well in excess of 70% here. 12 shots in the game now, 5 on target. And of course we saw the French show absolutely no mercy to Australia yesterday, having fallen behind. You were really impressed by them, were you? Impressed by the pace of France. Of course Spain play in a different way, but the question is, do they have a different sort of game maybe in their locker?
Yeah, sometimes you look at teams and you think, you know, the fear factor that they've certainly got within their ranks. I just felt as though maybe the press from the front from France weren't good, but potentially the opposition put them in bad habits, potentially. But in that game yesterday, if it was a direct comparison, Nigel, between this one, I saw more in the French as a real threat to go further in the tournament than I certainly have from the Spanish.
Another change now for Costa Rica, and it's the most capped player, Celso Borges, who is coming off. And it's Brandon Aguilera of Nottingham Forest who will come on. 19 years of age. He has been loaned back to his club in Costa Rica. This is 5th appearance. And he's another player who will try and hope to be the next generation for Costa Rican football. But on this evidence, they need quite a few.
Just what we needed at this stage of the game, a Forest connection, Nigel.
Of course, yeah. And there are one or two amongst teams you may not expect in this tournament. I was doing my research earlier on today in the media centre for Tunisia. They've got a Forest player as well.
Well, on the grounds that they signed about 68 players this summer, there's every
They've got somebody in every team. Here is Gavi coming forward now for Spain, and it's cut out well by Waston, who has been without any question the best player. Now Fuller brings it forward wide to the far side, clip down the line for Fuller again, and there's a run towards the edge of the penalty area made by one of the players who has come on, Zamora, but now it's been given away. And here is Olmo down the Spanish left, does well to tiptoe down the byline and keep the ball in play, and he slips it forward. Williams knew he was offside, so Morata had to try and go for it, and it's claimed by Keylor Navas. And Keylor Navas, a former teammate of Alvaro Morata out of Real Madrid. Now Brian Ruiz, nice skills from him, and he plays the ball into Joel Campbell, and the flag eventually goes up for offside down the left, and the shot towards goal was blocked anyway by Unai Simon, and it will be a free kick to Spain.
Yeah, game's got a little bit loose now. Both teams, you know, formation-wise, very, very loose in the way they're playing. And really, at a stage like this, I wouldn't say the Spanish are threatening the goal of Costa Rica a great deal for a team that has got such the ascendancy in the game.
Going back to Forest, you were wearing a pair of Forest shorts in the gym the other day. Presumably you didn't give them back.
Maybe they were a leaving present back in 1832 when I left.
Here is Morata now into the penalty area, and he's been denied by Keylor Navas, but Morata wins it back, and the volley! Oh, what a goal from the 18-year-old Gavi! Spain's youngest World Cup player comes up with a goal to remember. He is undoubtedly a star of the future, but he's a player in the present for Spain. They can really rely on Gavi with a volley which pinged off the inside of the post. And in a team which is packed with talent and experience, one of the youngsters has lit up the World Cup here for Spain, and they lead Costa Rica by 5 goals to 0.
I think this one will get ruled offside. I think Morata might have just strayed very, very marginally. I hope not, because it was a wonderful finish. It's really, really tight.
It was a great fit at the outside of the right foot on the volley. Very few players would try that, and even fewer would put it off like that. Well, they are checking, and the goal's been given. 5-0. And he deserves a goal, because he has not stopped running for Spain in a team which has often appeared languid at times, understandably perhaps, against this level of competition. He's always available, always has his head up. 18 years of age and 110 days, he becomes Spain's youngest scorer at a World Cup as well.
Well, what we might be seeing, Nigel, is the emergence of the next generation of Spanish players at this World Cup. Just going back to 2011, when our under-21s took on a Spanish team that had, off the top of my head, Thiago, De Gea, Azpilicueta, Mata in their ranks, but to name but 4. So, and that was a team that went on to really good things, you know. So maybe there's a few players out here, I know this is seniors now, not the 21s, that are going to go on to very big things.
Well, at the moment they're putting all the youngsters straight into the first team. 18 and 19-year-old in the starting lineup tonight. Gavi's second international goal, and that's one the crowd here in Doha were really able to enjoy. 40,013 is the crowd here, so lower than it was for the Netherlands game against Senegal the other night. Qatar, the host nation, plays Senegal in this stadium in its next game. They are playing 8 games here, including a quarter-final, and it's one of the stadiums specifically built for the World Cup. And while it's a wonderful design and a great venue in which to watch football, you just wonder what will happen to it when the World Cup and the accompanying circus leaves town.
Are all the stadiums earmarked for anything?
Well, some of them are stadiums which can be pulled down and taken elsewhere. The 974 stadium, which we see on the drive-in from the airport, is actually made of the shipping containers, so that's quite easy to pull down, and that's almost a self-sustaining stadium. And it's been taught that a number of other venues will be rehoused in Africa. There's the potential for future tournaments there, and of course African Cup of Nations are always looking for venues and better stadia, so there will be some sort of legacy and sustainability. And the free kick from Aguilera for Costa Rica, high into the penalty area, and there was some climbing going on there from Kendall Waston, and it's Gavi who is giving away about 3 foot and 3 stone to Kendall Waston, but he squares him up because one of his teammates was just hauled to the ground there by Waston, and the referee will have a look at this.
Well, Waston's obviously come onto the pitch with a bee in his bonnet a little bit, hasn't he? And he's offered an aggressive nature to what he's trying to achieve.
Well, he's heading back towards the referee now. I think Laporte was the Spanish player who was involved in the challenge, but it was Gavi who really called him out. Koke is also having his say, which he tends to do, and the referee is just telling him to move away from the situation. And I think basically the referee is saying, look, cut it out, which is fair enough at this stage of the game with 11 minutes to play on Talk Sport. Spain leading Costa Rica by 5-0. Laporte and Waston had a bit of nonsense on the ground, and then Gavi very quickly got involved. But Spain do have a free kick, and they look to play the ball out very deep inside the penalty area. Soler wide to Williams, and now Dani Olmo coming in field. And Gavi's got Morata making the run down the centre, but it's wide to this near side again, and Williams looking to attack the penalty area, and he delivers a low ball in. It was headed towards Morata, but it was great defending by Fuller to prevent it becoming 6-0.
Sorry, Nigel, go ahead.
Now Campbell, infield again towards Waston. Waston playing his team into trouble, but he's helped out by Duarte, who clears long downfield, and Spain played all the way back towards Simon. Sorry, Stuart.
Yeah, good cross there. Just whipped it across the front of the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper couldn't come and get involved in it, and well swept up at the far post by Fuller.
Spain have had 5 shots on target and 5 goals in this game. But they have not completely maybe turned their possession and opportunities around the penalty area into clear-cut chances. Now Olmo coming forward again. Gavi is the 3rd youngest scorer in World Cup history, after Pelé, of course, and Manuel Rosas. Here is Morata now, making a break into the penalty area, shoots low to the near post. He was offside anyway, but Keylor Navas made the save, and Gavi moves above Michael Owen on the all-time list in terms of youngest scorers with that goal here tonight.
Well, it's certainly good company.
Ferran Torres with a couple, joining a whole clutch of players on 2 goals after the opening games, as Brian Oviedo has been replaced for Costa Rica, and Ronald Mataria comes on, plays for Cincinnati in MLS, and he missed out on 2018 after being injured, so this is World Cup debut. If you're looking for a man of the match, Stuart, would Gavi be up there as a main contender?
He certainly would. I mean, I would probably err towards one of the midfield three. I've got to say, I think Busquets has been very good. He knitted things together, but I think, I would edge on the youngster.
He is going to be part of the Spanish national side, you feel, for a long time, as Campbell is beaten to it by Rodri in the air. Now Laporte wants it wide to the far side, and Balde, who has been very energetic, the 19-year-old, on his international debut, and the ball eventually spins out of play on the far side, and it will be a throw-in off Alvaro Zamora. And it's interesting, Stuart, a number of the Spanish team got tournament experience in the Olympics last year, winning a silver medal, and when you were the age group coach with England at under-21s, you always talked about the Olympics as being a potential breeding ground, and very important potentially, and this team maybe bears that out.
Certainly it does. It's a brilliant tournament, the Olympic Games. We certainly, when it was 2012 in London, we didn't hold enough weight on it. I'm sad to say, if I'm being quite honest with you, we should have done, because certainly Brazil did, Mexico did, Uruguay turned up with Cavani and Suarez in their forward line. The countries of the world really hold high esteem on the Olympic Games.
In Spain have won gold medals in the past, and it's an important stepping stone for a number of these players. We have 7 minutes of normal time to play here, with Spain leading by 5 goals to 0. The ball will just be Nico Williams into touch on this near side, and it will be a goal kick. Don't forget, Belgium against Canada coming up, 7 o'clock kickoff. Faye Carruthers will be taking over very soon after the end of this game. Alex Crook and Dean Ashton on the commentary, and then tomorrow 4 more games. TalkSport 2, 10 o'clock, Sweden against Cameroon with Adam Bridge and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, and then 3 games all on TalkSport. 1 o'clock in Group H, Uruguay against South Korea with Alex Crook and Dean Saunders. Also in that group, Portugal against Ghana with Ian Danta and Leanne Sanders, and that's a 4 o'clock kickoff. Then at 7, Dean Ashton and Joe Shedden will bring you Brazil against Serbia in Group G. All those games coming up tomorrow on TalkSport. You can have your say following the action tonight on the Sports Bar. 03717 223344 is the number. Alan Brazil in charge of TalkSport Breakfast tomorrow from 6, and World Cup game day warm-up with White and Jordan will be live from Qatar from 10 o'clock. And some big games coming up over the weekend. On Friday, either end of the day, Wales against Iran at 10 o'clock, England against USA at 7 o'clock, both live on TalkSport. Then on Saturday, the late game is a massive one for Argentina and Lionel Messi. They play Mexico after that shock loss for them against Saudi Arabia. And then Spain will be in action on Sunday night, also at 7 o'clock. And they meet the Germans, who today lost 2-1 against Japan. They led that game for so long, but they were beaten by 2 late goals from Japanese replacements. They played a blinder off the bench, and it's a famous win for Japan. Earlier on today in Group F, Morocco and Croatia drew 0-0. Coming up, the other game in that group to kick off, and that's Belgium against Canada. Big night for the Canadians, making their first appearance at the World Cup since 1986. And they came through as the winners of the CONCACAF section, which included Costa Rica, Mexico, Canada and the US, were the 3 sides who came through automatically. And of course we saw the US on Monday when they picked up that draw against Wales. Now Balde in towards Dani Olmo, high cross towards the far post for Spain, but it's blocked on this occasion, and it's headed away by Aguilera. And then Costa Rica look for a free kick as challenge is made on Joel Campbell in midfield. And the free kick has been given for that challenge by Laporte, and Costa Rica have some breathing space, but there has been very little for them, and we now have 3.5 minutes to play on TalkSport. Spain leading by 5-0. The biggest victors so far in the 2022 World Cup, and there should have been more. Now Unai Simon comes outside his penalty area to clear the ball downfield. Williams will look to use his pace down the right, but Waston comes across to make the challenge, and Spain only have a throw-in. As the spider cam swoops low above the Costa Rican penalty area once again, as it has done for much of this game. And will we see a different Spain on Sunday? Will we see a different Germany? Of course, they could be facing elimination on Sunday night, and that will cause a real problem for Hansi Flick in his first major tournament in charge. Everything going wrong late in the game in the Khalifa Stadium earlier on today, but from a neutral point of view, it is always good to have some jeopardy in the group stage of any tournament, and with Argentina and Germany behind the 8 ball, we certainly have that at the moment. Now Gavi for Spain, midway inside the Costa Rican half, finding Dani Olmo, slipped on towards Morata again, and Keylor Navas just came out, and then Morata just gave it up, and it was gathered by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Morata probably, thought to himself, no, it's a long way to go in this tournament, I don't want to get injured.
Well, Morata scored the crucial goal in the decisive qualifier against Sweden to take Spain through. Their qualification record, 6 wins, a draw, and the defeat was actually their poorest since qualification for the Euros back in 1992. And they were beaten by Sweden during the World Cup qualification. Incredibly, that was their first loss in World Cup qualifiers since 1993, which is a stat to allow to sink in for a moment, and they're not going to lose their opening game here. As Oscar Duarte goes all the way back to Keylor Navas, the winner of 3 Champions League titles with Real Madrid, but very much in the firing line in front of the Spaniards here this evening. Koke, again given room to turn on the halfway line, absolutely no pressure. Carlos Soler has support from Morata, but it's back again to Koke. Gavi, encouraged by Koke to work it wide towards Williams down the right, and Williams now will look to attack the penalty area once again. Really good ball, and it's been fumbled by the goalkeeper, and it's turned in by Carlos Soler, and Spain lead by 6-0. Keylor Navas knows that's on him. He failed to gather the cross in from the right-hand side, and Carlos Soler was there to stroke the ball in. He has his first World Cup goal, and Spain really sending out an early message here. Costa Rica, arguably the poorest team we've seen so far, but Spain have made them pay. 6-0.
Yeah, good quality wing play there, just touch, push, created the space, tempted the goalkeeper out on this occasion, and when it come out to Soler, he had the presence of mind just to open the foot up and slide it into the corner, and probably 6-0 is nearer to the dominance that the Spanish have had, I would say.
And of course it's 6-0, so we have a minimum of 8 added minutes. Stuart's shoulders slumped, along with everybody else in the media box.
Nigel, I love my football, but yes. I don't know where they're getting it from, honestly.
Well, we've had so many changes in the second half, and they're trying to be fair to both teams, but the reality is, I'm sure Costa Rica must have seen that and thought, blimey. Gone
are the old days where you can say to the fourth official, we've both had enough, governor, knock it on the head.
Yes.
Which was a regular occurrence, believe me.
Well, they're looking to attack now with Zamora at 6-0 down, Costa Rica. Campbell with the cross, Unai Simon will come, and he claims, and I think that is the first cross he has had to claim in the entire game, and we are in the 91st minute with Spain leading by 6-0. And it's been a night of history here for Spain, and also the World Cup. Gavi's goal makes him the youngest ever European scorer in a World Cup finals as well. Absolutely sure he won't be the last player to shine in a Spanish shirt in this World Cup of very tender years, as Soler, with a dummy on the halfway line, allows Dani Olmo to bring it forward. Spain still want more here. Azpilicueta, he'll play the whole game. Williams down the line for Gavi, and what will the 18-year-old do here? He just checks back and finds Williams on the edge of the penalty area. Morata comes short. Morata given the room to turn back towards Dani Olmo. Morata makes it 7 with a low shot, and Spain really cut loose here, and Costa Rica simply can't live with them. And that was a picture book goal from Spain. Crisp passing all along the ground. Costa Rica looked bemused. They were chasing shadows, and Alvaro Morata has his first goal of this World Cup, and Spain in record-setting mood. It is Spain 7, Costa Rica 0.
Well, good interchange of play, I've got to say. Gavi, good play. Little Morata, give and go, and then just slid it down, and Navas, no spring at all from him. Just collapsed way away from the ball. I think he thought that shot was going across his body, and he's half gone left before he's gone right, and at that stage too late.
And it's the biggest win in the World Cup since Portugal beat North Korea 7-0 back in 2010. I think that ended the North Koreans' love affair with the World Cup. But they're sharing the goals around now as a long, hopeful ball is played forward for Costa Rica from this near side from Mataria, and it's gathered by Unai Simon. And this really is punishing for Costa Rica. We are in 8 added minutes, and they are 7-0 down.
It's almost been a hard watch and a hard commentator, I've got to say, Nigel. Really has.
Well,
I've enjoyed the goals, make no mistake about that. I've enjoyed the goals, and Spain will say, listen, we can do no more than what we've got to do, and credit to them, they've gone about what they've done and been clinical when they've faced the goalkeeper.
7 shots on target, 7 goals, you can't argue with that. Well, I've enjoyed Gavi's performance. I think he's been terrific, the 18-year-old.
Yeah, when you consider his age, it's incredible. There's so many good young players on the world stage now, it's incredible.
And Spain continuing to camp out in the Costa Rican half here. They could get number 8 very soon. Soler wide towards Balde, cut back low and cleared away by Oscar Duarte. Quickly headed forward again by Rodri, and now it's back with Azpilicueta. Gavi again, quickly wide towards Williams, and it's the youngsters who are really bossing the game now for Spain in the closing stages, which of course you can do with a 7-0 lead. Lofted wide by Carlos Soler towards Balde, and whatever happens in this World Cup, and we heard Stuart very early on in the game suggest that Spain may not quite have what it takes to get to the closing stages and to the real business end of the competition. But at the moment, with these young players coming to the fore, in years to come we could yet see the sort of dynasty which Del Bosque formed. Now Gavi looking to pick his way through, back to Carlos Soler, and he drags the shot wide, and it should really have been 8-0. Let's get team news from Group F. Belgium against Canada. That game coming up at 7 o'clock with Alex Crook.
And this game comes too soon for the injured Romelu Lukaku, so Michy Batshuayi leads the Belgian attack. Captain Eden Hazard does start despite his lack of minutes for Real Madrid this season. Canada, meanwhile, boosted by the news that the flying Bayern Munich wide man Alphonso Davies is fit after picking up an injury just before the World Cup break.
Cheers, Alex. Commentary from Alex Crook and Dean Ashton coming up at 7 o'clock. Faker Others will be on the air looking ahead to that game very soon, and also bringing you reaction from England and Wales from what their key players have said today. Now Balde for Spain. Morata back to Olmo, and there was a late challenge there on Balde on the far side, and the yellow card will be flourished for Costa Rica. And it's Joel Campbell who received it. Just left something on Balde after the ball was fumbled back in field, and Spain will have a free kick here in the 97th minute, leading by 7-0.
Yeah, you can't do much more than that if you're Spain, to be fair. The 7-goal scoreline's incredible. Puts them in a strong position in the group.
Well, in terms of goal difference, of course, with Germany losing, I mean, Japan will be thinking as well, we've got Costa Rica next. 6 points, and we're going to be very hard to stop if we rack up a few goals. We saw England score 6, and now Spain have 7. And they're looking now to make it 8 with a free kick on the far side. A fairly ragged Costa Rican wall has been formed inside the penalty area. Carlos Soler is over this for Spain, and he may be looking to whip this ball in high towards the far post. Keylor Navas is maybe preparing for that. He does whip the ball in, but it's headed away by Brian Ruiz at the far post. And I think that's the first time we've mentioned Brian Ruiz's name in general play.
Yeah, it's been really tough for the Costa Rican front line. I don't think they've helped themselves by not offering any form of barrier at all and basically showing the way to their goal.
No, they've not pressed at all right from the very start. And once Spain scored the opening goal, you felt they were capable of many more, and that's how it's panned out. And the full-time whistle will come as a blessed relief for Costa Rica. Spain have won this game by 7-0, and Luis Enrique was able to turn to his youngsters in the second half, and they all sparkled, notably Gavi, who became the youngest European scorer in World Cup history, with arguably the pick of the goals. And Spain were relentless, and they will hope this is a taste of things to come. Full time, Spain 7, Costa Rica 0.